Hello everyone, in this video I'll be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Moeed Pirzada to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let's go through the key developments and insights in Moeed Pirzada's words. There are many developments today. Globally speaking, the biggest development right now is the summit meeting that began just 2 to 3 hours ago in Alaska between Russian President Vladimir Putin and US President Donald Trump. The eyes of the entire world's media are focused on it. Every 30 to 40 minutes, a new speculative story is being published about it in America, Europe, Britain, India, and Russia. Everyone is trying to guess what outcome this summit will have and how it will impact global relations, especially US-Russia ties and the triangular relations between the US, Russia, and China. But from Pakistan's perspective, or indeed for the entire South Asian region, the biggest, most tragic, most heartbreaking and most painful development of the last 18 hours has been the devastating flash floods. Within just 12 hours, more than 200 people have lost their lives in Pakistan, mainly in the northern province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, due to cloudbursts and flash floods. Deaths have also been reported from Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. So far, about 225 deaths have been confirmed, with nearly 160 bodies recovered. The greatest brunt has fallen on Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, particularly the Buna district, where around 100 people are believed to have died in the floods. The real issue is this: what is being said about it is insufficient. The apathy of rulers, states and the global community is glaring. And this indifference is not limited to Pakistan. It extends to India, America, China and the world at large. I will explain this shortly. But before that, let me touch upon a few other developments. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivered a historic speech at the Red Fort. In my previous vlog, I had mentioned that while Pakistan's 14th August celebrations were entirely war-centered, focused on battle and struggle, we needed to see what India's Independence Day, 15th August celebrations would highlight. In India, fortunately, the focus was not so heavily on war. However, Modi did announce a major defence initiative, the development of a new defence system named Sudarshan Chakra, if I pronounce it correctly, inspired from Hindu mythology and Lord Vishnu's weapon. He declared that India would build a defence shield through which no penetration would be possible. Essentially an Iron Dome Plus, similar to Israel's missile defense system. On the topic of Israel, Reuters, citing 3 credible sources, reported that Israel is in advanced negotiations with South Sudan to forcibly relocate Palestinians there. Although no final agreement has yet been reached, Reuters has confirmed that such negotiations are ongoing. I had mentioned this in my previous vlog as well. Before continuing with more developments, let me remind you, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. Click the bell icon, enable all notifications for YouTube, and also join my WhatsApp channel. The link is in the comments for direct updates. We are aiming to cross the 800,000 subscribers milestone by the end of August. Now, let us return to Pakistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Buna, and the flash floods. The New York Times carried a lead story that within just 12 to 14 hours, 150 people were killed in Pakistan by flash floods, calling it a most unusual disaster. But Pakistani newspapers and TV channels, including Dawn, are reporting that deaths have now surpassed 220, with nearly 160 bodies recovered. The maximum impact is in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, especially in Buna, but the entire Malakand division is devastated. 9 to 10 deaths have also been reported in Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. Markets, shops, homes and entire villages have been swept away. The cloudburst occurred in the early hours of the morning while people were asleep, giving them no chance to escape. Tourists remain stranded in several areas with rescue efforts ongoing. But here lies the shocking fact. The entire Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province had only 2 helicopters available for relief operations. One of them crashed in the storm, killing the pilot and 3 crew members, men who had sacrificed their lives purely out of human compassion, risking everything to save others. The real question is, where was the National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, established around 2005 to 2008 under General Musharraf. Headed by a serving army general, staffed with military officers, NDMA should have predicted this disaster. Did they issue any warnings? Did they alert provincial governments? Especially given that just 2 or 3 days earlier, a similar cloudburst had killed at least 42 people in Indian-administered Jammu and Kashmir, and heavy floods had struck Uttarakhand. Did NDMA prepare Pakistan in any way? Political commentator Dr. Shahbaz Gill recently claimed in a video that instead of accountability, Pakistan's intelligence agencies instructed media outlets to blame the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa provincial government. He showed video evidence that such floods are beyond any provincial government's capacity to control. The reality is that in Pakistan, all critical resources remain under military control by design. Civilian administrations, provincial governments and commissioners are left powerless, unlike in the US, where state administrations are fully equipped and rarely depend on the army for disaster relief. Many Pakistani news outlets, including Dawn, have reported details: how many deaths in which district, what compensation promises were made by politicians, and so on. But the missing debate is the real cause: climate change and the greenhouse effect. Since the start of this monsoon season in June, nearly 600 people have died in Pakistan due to flash floods. Yet the government and media are avoiding any discussion of climate change, treating it as if nothing can be done. This is a very vast subject, but I wanted to give you a quick overview here. I would like you to also comment on this. Many of you come from backgrounds in engineering sciences and biological sciences. You can contribute to this discussion, and the more you discuss it in your homes, with your friends, in colleges, schools and universities, the greater the benefit will be. Right now, the 3 biggest greenhouse gas emitters in the world are: the largest is, of course, China, our non-Muslim neighbouring country, with around 12,000 million metric tons of emissions. Second is the United States. Its economy may be larger than China's, but its greenhouse gas emissions are about 4,000 million metric tons. Third is India, with more than 3,000 million metric tons. After that comes Japan. The tragedy for Pakistan is that 2 of the world's biggest greenhouse gas emitters, China and India, are its immediate neighbours. Now, China's industrial footprint is mostly on its eastern seaboard, like Shanghai and Beijing, and less on its western side near Pakistan. But geographically speaking, Pakistan remains vulnerable. Even if one argues that emissions affect the entire atmosphere globally, meaning US or European emissions also impact Pakistan, India's emissions remain the principal immediate factor, and India is not at all willing to curb them. So what is this phenomenon? Why does it happen? I was just reading Pakistani newspapers alongside flood coverage. There was a report that Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi met in detail with the US Acting Coordinator for Counter-Terrorism. They discussed border control, regional cooperation against terrorism, and he thanked the US for designating BLA and the Majid Brigade as terrorist organizations. This shows where Pakistan's rulers focus, on such issues rather than climate change. Imran Khan's government was the first and only one that started a debate inside Pakistan on greenhouse gas emissions and their effects. He tried to involve the international community. The subject did continue somewhat under Shahbaz Sharif, but no leader showed the same seriousness and personal interest as Imran Khan, who, as you know, was less distracted by counter-terrorism politics and more invested in such causes. Now, scientifically speaking, when carbon dioxide emissions rise due to industrial activity, CO2 traps heat, warming the atmosphere. As the biosphere and atmosphere heat up, more water vapor is absorbed from oceans, rivers, lakes and land. As vapor increases, the availability of moisture in the atmosphere rises, leading to heavier rainfalls and sudden cloudbursts like the one we just saw. The more vapor present, the more intense the rainfall and flooding. This crisis has been under discussion for at least 25 years, yet the world has found no effective way forward. Why? Because China, the largest emitter, is largely insensitive and uncooperative. America has tried to bring some changes, but under leaders like Donald Trump, who deny climate change altogether, progress is blocked. They dismiss it as scientists' imagination and nonsense. This too is a huge obstacle. Meanwhile, China and India argue our per capita emissions are low, since we have 1.4 billion people. Compared to the West, each person contributes less. That leaves two possible ways forward, which deserve serious debate and awareness: reduce emissions at the source by cutting greenhouse gas production. Capture existing CO2 and neutralize it. For reduction, alternate forms of energy are necessary: solar, wind, hydropower, electric vehicles, and even nuclear, though costly and problematic. During my travels across the United States, coast to coast, I saw hundreds of wind turbines and solar plants in operation. This shows how seriously renewable energy can be adopted. This entire issue calls for cooperation between India and Pakistan. Both countries have the scientific capacity and expertise to work on solutions. If they collaborated, they could make major progress. But the reality is that cooperation is absent. They cannot even cooperate on water sharing or counter-terrorism, let alone on climate. In fact, instead of cooperation, we see escalation. For example, on 15th August at the Red Fort, Narendra Modi announced a new defence system named Sudarshan Chakra, envisioned as an Iron Dome Plus for India. He did not reveal details, but Indian media speculates it could be a missile defence shield built around the Russian S-400 system. Recently, Russia even offered S-500 systems to India, but New Delhi has hesitated, fearing United States displeasure. Still, it is expected to be a missile-based defence network in development. At the same time, within the last 24 hours, reports and rumours have circulated that India may soon test the Agni-6 missile. The Agni series is India's equivalent of Pakistan's Shaheen, Babar or Gauri long-range ballistic missiles. Agni-5 already has a range of about 5,000 kilometres. Agni-6 is expected to reach 11,000 to 12,000 kilometres, potentially putting even the United States within range. Reports say an area of 4,800 miles from the Odisha coast has been notified for tests. That said, Modi's speech was not primarily focused on defence. His main emphasis was on economics and development. He did not name the United States directly, but he declared that India would never compromise on the interests of its farmers, fishermen or traders. He even said that even if it costs him his life, he would never compromise on farmers' interests, because farmers represent the largest segment of India's voters. I would like you to also comment on this. Many of you have backgrounds in engineering, sciences or biological sciences, so you can contribute to this discussion as well. And the more you hold these discussions in your homes, with your acquaintances, friends, in colleges, schools and universities, the more beneficial it will be. Right now, there are three biggest greenhouse gas emitters in the world. The largest by far is China, our non-Muslim brotherly country, which emits around 12,000 million metric tons of greenhouse gases. The second is the United States, whose economy may even be larger than China's, but its greenhouse gas emissions are about 4,000 million metric tons. Third is India, which emits more than 3,000 million metric tons. After that comes Japan. Now, Pakistan's misfortune is that two of the world's largest greenhouse gas emitters, China and India, are right in its backyard and neighbourhood. It's another matter that China's industrial footprint is concentrated on its eastern seaboard, around Shanghai and Beijing, while the western side has very little industry. So, the greenhouse gas emissions in South Asia, of which Pakistan is the main victim, come primarily from this geography, unless we say that proximity has nothing to do with it, because the entire atmosphere is affected globally, meaning even emissions from America or Europe also impact Pakistan. But prima facie, the main emitter affecting this region is India, which is absolutely unwilling to control its greenhouse gas emissions. Now, what exactly is this issue? Why does it happen? Recently, I was also reading that while such environmental reports are coming out, Pakistan's Interior Minister, Mr. Mohsin Naqvi, met with the United States National Coordinator for Counter-Terrorism. They discussed border control, regional terrorism, and he thanked the United States for designating BLA and the Moeed Brigade as terrorist organizations. So the focus of Pakistan's rulers mostly remains on such issues. Imran Khan's government was the first and only one that initiated a debate within Pakistan on the effects of greenhouse gases, trying to bring the world into this conversation. Even after Shahbaz Sharif became Prime Minister, the matter continued to be raised. But the seriousness with which Imran Khan personally pursued it was unmatched. He wasn't distracted by terrorism or other security issues. He was genuinely interested in environmental concerns. So what is the science? When carbon dioxide emissions increase due to industrial output, they trap heat in the atmosphere, leading to global warming. As the biosphere and atmosphere heat up, more water vapor is absorbed from oceans, rivers, lakes, land and homes. When atmospheric vapor increases, it raises the likelihood of heavy rainfall bursts, what we call cloudbursts. The more vapor there is, the heavier the rainfall. This is a crisis that has been discussed for at least 25 years, but the world hasn't found a way forward. The main problem, China, the largest emitter, is highly insensitive and unwilling to cooperate. America has tried to bring change, but under leaders like Donald Trump, greenhouse gas issues were outright dismissed as a non-issue. Merely scientists' imagination. That is a huge obstacle. India and China argue that given their massive populations, over 1.4 billion each, their per capita emissions are relatively low compared to the West. So essentially there are two possible ways forward, which we must debate seriously. First, reduce emissions altogether, switching to alternate forms of energy like solar, wind, hydro, electric vehicles, and possibly nuclear, though nuclear has its own huge problems. Second, capture and neutralize existing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which is an even bigger scientific challenge. Now, ideally, this calls for cooperation between Pakistan and India. Both countries have immense scientific talent and capability that could help find solutions, but the reality is they cannot even cooperate over water, let alone terrorism or anything else. For example, when Narendra Modi gave his Independence Day speech at the Red Fort, his focus was on developing a new missile defense system, like Israel's Iron Dome, but more advanced. He didn't reveal details, but Indian media speculate it could center around S-400 missiles, and Russia has even offered S-500 systems to India. Meanwhile, reports suggest India is preparing to test its Agni-6 intercontinental ballistic missile, with a range of 11,000 to 12,000 kilometers, capable of reaching the United States mainland. Yet, despite such defense rhetoric, Modi's main speech focus was actually on economics and development. He said India would never compromise on the interests of its farmers, fishermen and traders, even if it cost him his own life. Farmers, being India's largest voting bloc, are central to his political base. That wraps up our translation of Moeed Pirzada's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.